I was born and raised in a really small town here in Arkansas, Cave City. A lot of people's not ever heard of it. Very tight-knit family, probably low middle class, upbringing. Basic training was a culture experience for me.
Bullets flying all around. Bullets flying all around. Keep your head low to the ground.
Never been outside my town, never flown on an airplane, never rode a Greyhound bus. I mean, that was me going to MEPS to ship out. Both of my drill sergeants, two of them were Puerto Rican, and one of them was African American, and it was just a culture shock for me. Went active Army, very beginning of the war, 2003, 2004, 4th Infantry Division, was in Samara, Iraq. The town was pretty rough when we got there, and our mission was to basically clean up the town. They wanted us to make it a livable situation for everybody involved there. Again, culture shock again, new world, new country, went through all the culture training you could possibly think of before you went, but it doesn't prepare you for what you walk into when you get over there. I mean, their culture's been around longer than we've been in the United States, so we were going in and we basically had to mold ourselves to kind of fit in with them as well. So we really became kind of a part of their community while we were over there. I came back, spent almost another year at Fort Hood before, again, I decided to leave active Army. I reached back out of the state and said, hey, I would like to continue my service, what do you have for me? And they threw out the term recruiting. We always need recruiters. This can't be too hard. People do it all the time. That was my first initial thoughts. Came to recruiting school, here in Little Rock. Really didn't know what I was doing. I learned the foundational pieces of recruiting from the schoolhouse here, of course. What to do, what not to do. It's all these things you can learn. Really, my first 2 years in recruiting, I was recruiting people that looked like me and had the same job, the same skill sets. So when I was going to high schools in the community, I was targeting the male population because the things I could talk about was combat arms. I could talk about infantry, cavalry scouts, these things I could really relate to them, and I could sell that very easily to them. My first 2 years in recruiting, I only enlisted one, maybe two female soldiers into the Army National Guard. Wasn't comfortable talking to them. I didn't feel like I could relate to them. It was hard for me to break that mold, that thought pattern that I had going into the job. And it's something that's hard. You can't really teach it, but it's something you got to kind of figure out. But I wish somebody could have sat down and say, hey, have you ever thought about doing this? And it wasn't comfortable. Going into a classroom and talking to somebody else that was kind of outside my norm, it was challenging for me. I was shutting my market off. I was recruiting in my own little box, my own little world. And there was so much more out there that people were offering in the Army National Guard that I was missing. But once I actually broke that mold and got through that, the whole world opened up to me in recruiting. I found that different areas that I didn't go to before, I didn't talk to, that now I could go in, I could approach them just because of the way somebody looks or their gender, it doesn't matter. I mean, they all can offer something to the Army National Guard. And I wasn't so narrow-minded within myself to think this is what the Army National Guard needs. If you go in this job looking, as everybody, again, as a number of the making mission at the end of the year, you're not going to make it. We need everybody. It's not just one skill set that we need. We need everybody doing their part to make the organization that much better. You've got to look at everybody as an individual person that has something to offer to the Army National Guard. And if you treat them like that and make them part of the family, your mission's going to make itself at the end of the year.